finally one day he said, if you won't play in my band, he says, I'll never give you a recommendation. And of course he was one of my teachers. And so what can I do? But I said, you know, Mr. Wilson, I played in the orchestra because it helps pay me through. It helps pay my way through college because they pay me for this. I said I can't give that up, or I wouldn't be here. Well, anyway, many years later, when he came to Decorah with the Luther, he came out the house. We sat and talked. And he says, I guess I never did need to give you a recommendation because I never asked him for one.
He said you did all right without one.
He said you did all right without it. So that was another friend. So we had a lot of good times. So I hope this isn't a waste of your time. How long have you been doing this?
10 years.
Oh my goodness.
Good gosh.
It's been fun. Well, that's why I've got to meet people that you've been mentioning.
You probably know everybody in the...
Well, not everybody yet, but I'm working on it.
Well, you must.
One of my favorite people in the industry that you guys have mentioned tonight, which was Jimmy Sade.
Oh, really?
I just thought
that he was something else.
I thought he was a great guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was the epitome of what the perfect music dealer was back in those days when everything was education oriented. And plus he was a smart guy and a shrewd.
Those guys are gone. This is what hurts.
Yeah.
All those guys are gone.
Yeah, his at Hoyt Sharman Place in Des Moines after Iowa Bandmasters Association convention when he did and that's when he had just started to do that. I mean, he hadn't been doing it very long,
right?
And it just
and his wife come out with
she was Helen.
What was her name?
Helen.
Oh yeah, Helen.
The big brimmed hat, and she was a very fine singer, and she did the
she did the announcing and
the song, sang along with the band,
right?
Wow.
And it just brought the house down. I loved it.
Yeah, and the NSMD NSMD, our group that we started, we paid for that.
Iowa
Association.
We hired.
We got him up there to do that.
Right.
That was back when I was president.
That wasn't too hard.
To
do because he was friends with.
Right. Yeah, we got him up.
Yeah, with West's, of course,
and with West and us
and some of the others in the group.
Yes, he was quite a gentleman.
I thought it would be worthy to put on tape what you had told me earlier about the large expense account that NAMM gave you when you were on the NAMM board.
What expense account? We didn't have one.
You had to pay your...
I don't know when they started paying the expenses, but it wasn't too long after I went off.
I remember when they put you up for, when you were nominated, and you talked to Pearl about it, and he told you what it cost. And I think it was something like
I don't remember.
$3,000 out of his pocket.
I don't remember
in those days, and we considered that. We thought, can we handle that? I mean, that that was a lot of money. Maybe if we hadn't
back
done
in
that,
those days,
we'd be better off now. I don't know.
No, but it was part of our education.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Sounds like it. I was going to also ask you a little bit more about some of the people that you worked with at LeBlanc. You had mentioned some of the folks. Do you remember who hired you there? Was it...
Sandy Sandberg, sales manager.
Sandy, okay.
Yeah, he hired me. And I've become friends with him because he was a representative that called in the store I was working for. And I guess one night he said, no, he talked me into... No, because he was going into sales manager. He said, I wanted you to take my place. So that's back when we had a lot of energy. It's kind of gone by the wayside.
Did you travel a lot for them?
I did. Yeah.
What was your territory?
Oh gosh, you really want to know? At one time, I called on dealers in Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, Missouri,
Minnesota. That was about
Illinois. I think I was the only representative for LeBlanc that ever called on the dealers in Chicago. Usually they were house accounts because we were so close. And particularly with Lyons or Lyon and Healy. One time, Russ Kurth, I don't know if you ever recall that name or not. He was very active in the music industry, but he was the he was a manager of all Lyon and Healy stores at that time. And I sat in his office one day when he called Vito. He and Vito were good friends. He said, "I would like to hire Russ to work for us." Vito says, "No, we have plans for Russ." And that was it. So that was a long, long time ago. So yeah, I enjoyed it.
You guys were talking about, life before the eBay and the internet. I can imagine traveling, like the miles that you were talking about, in the road conditions that were probably back then.
They didn't have interstates.
Yeah, there was no cell phones.
Right. No cell phones, no computers, none of that stuff.
You couldn't afford to call home every night.
No.
Oh, really?
Like they all do now, 3 and 4 times a day.
Well, cell phones, so you can do it anytime, but no, you couldn't do that. Once or twice a week, maybe.
Call was a complicated thing. And expensive.
Yes. Everybody's trying to make a buck, I guess.
Did you ever stay in any dealers' homes, or was it always hotels and that sort of thing?
Mostly hotels. I really didn't care to stay in their homes, but yes, I did. I stayed in Pearl's home many times. What are you laughing about?
You stayed in one dealer's home where they had a monkey.
Oh, jeez.
I remember.
Don't even bring that up.
I won't go into that. No, you can edit that one out.
Wait, what?
No, it wasn't a dealer. It was a college band director.
College band director.
You never heard it. You didn't hear it from us.
I don't know if I should mention the name.
No.
That is funny.
Well, he's not alive anymore.
It's
A
not.
real monkey?
Okay.
No. What?
A real monkey?
Oh, yes. That was a pet. Yes. Jeez. That was, should I mention the name?
All right, go ahead.
That was Bob Lowry. I don't know if you ever heard his name or not.
No.
He was quite a well-known clarinet player.
Oh.
And he did a lot of clinics, but he lived in Sioux City. He was a band director for Morningside College. But no, that was just one place I stayed with dealers, but very seldom, intentionally, I really didn't feel that I should. But occasionally, if somebody I really knew well, I did. Of course, I stayed in Sandy's house all the time in Kenosha, and we've stayed many times at Gil out in California, Gil Marshner. But dealers, I pretty well tried to stay away from that.
Well, I also think, did Wisconsin have a lot more, just to pick a state that's close by, have a lot more retailers back then, do you think, than they do now?
Well, the heavy spots really were Wisconsin, Iowa. Iowa was one of the first places Vito worked with his Buick trying to sell instruments, because Iowa was, at that time, and still is, noted as a very good band state. And of course, Wisconsin has been too. Minnesota now, but Minnesota at that time, I didn't have too many dealers outside of Minneapolis. Illinois had some good dealers. Missouri was mostly 2 or 3, things like that. But yeah, Russ
Chambers
in Columbia, had a music store.
Well, Liven's.
Is my dealers. I have Liven's, Liven Ligature.